we are here again with the mower that I have nicknamed the Beast. It's an old snapper walk-behind mower. There's a number of issues with this engine. One of the issues is it doesn't have the correct carburetor on it. Another issue is because the original one just corroded inside. It got some water in it. I have the breather disconnected because this thing has so much blow-by that it actually chokes itself out. For whatever reason, the kill switch and the engine brake still works, but it doesn't cut the ignition. It leaks oil, burns oil, and probably at this state is running at about 2.5 or 3 of its 4 horsepower. Another issue it had, the governor is quite flaky. It gives it extra power when it feels like it, but not usually when it needs it. I could tear this engine down and rebuild it, but I think I'm just going to scrap this thing and, yeah, so long. Yeah, and if you're even somewhat familiar with my channel, then if you believe that, I got some nice oceanfront property over in Arizona that I'll sell you for a nice good price. What we've got is this. And no, it is not a gasoline-powered washing machine, although admittedly that would be quite cool. It's an older model. It's a Tecumseh TVS 120 or 12 120. This is a 5 horsepower engine. It was running good the last time that I used it. This was off of a Yardmaster or something walk-behind push mower. We're going to get this sucker fitted up. We're going to start here by removing the fuel tank. Remove the dipstick. And it should just lift off. Yep. I don't believe there is any fuel left, so we're good on that. Same size sockets, but that would make things too easy now, wouldn't it? Alright, now we're going to need to get the flywheel off, the magneto. Well, actually, before we do that, we'll pull all the bits off of our other engine here. Actually, I'm going to degrease that first. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Pull the bits off of it, and we'll compare the two real quick before I start tearing in anymore. So I've got it tipped on the prohibited position, spark plug down. Doesn't really matter because there's no oil in it, but got that nice and cleaned off. And look at that, that's absolutely awful. Okay, and after removing the engine shroud, we can see here why the kill switches weren't working anymore. Apparently that vibrated loose off the coil. Of some of the key components we're going to need to transplant onto the new engine, which of course is the starter motor and the charging assembly here, which I believe is one with the coil. I don't think we'll need this kill wire, but there is a kill wire that comes up that is supposed to kill the engine if the chute is not attached. And there's our coil and charger, battery charger, and starter motor assembly. I also need to get this piece off the carburetor. Okay, now to get the flywheel off, you normally should use a puller, of which I do not have the correct type puller that would bolt on here. So what we will do, we're going to screw our nut back on here so that it is above the top of the shaft. Give it a little pressure on here on the bottom of the flywheel with the screwdriver. Grab a nice handy device commonly used for industrial whack-a-mole. Give it a couple good taps. It should pop off. Now that's something I can say I've never done before. I actually hammered the threads right out of the nut. Closer inspection on this flywheel, these are not even threaded holes on here. So you would need one of those big jaw pullers that goes around the outside, which I definitely don't have. So we'll try this again right straight on the shaft. As I said, I don't really care if the shaft mushrooms or not, because this engine's trashed anyway. And it is still not coming off. There we go. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that key's twisted. Yeah. I'm actually surprised the engine ran. Well, that could be one reason why it didn't run too well, because the key is slightly sheared. The other piece we are going to need off this engine is the breather tube. Should be able to just, pop out of there. It actually screws on. Oops. I had so much pride on it, I didn't even see that. And there's our actual breather assembly there. And gasket. Little, what used to be foam, but it's just disintegrating. And that is the breather cup. Carburetor, the intake manifold. That we are going to need this little wire loom assembly here. As that's the kill switch assembly. There's the engine brake. How that works is pulls this little, but it's supposed to have a friction shoe on it. Pulls that back. And it's still good yet. And we'll get this sucker unbolted and off of here so we can get this deck cleaned up a bit. Let's get to work on this engine. But to get the flywheel off of this one, instead of beating on the shaft, I beat the crap out of the flywheel instead. Because remember, we don't need this flywheel. Before we were trying to save the flywheel. Yeah, we were trying to save the flywheel. Now we don't care about the flywheel. We just need the engine. be easier to at least. I realized that my tape had run out. Anyway, got the engine mounted. We got the starter mounted on the engine. I painted the deck, sort of. It's just crappy spray can red. I sprayed it with primer just so that all the spots where the paint had peeled off won't rust now that I got the like 2.5 pounds of grease off of it. And we just need to adjust the magneto. And I'm not sure of the actual proper way to do this, but I've got a piece of heavy cardboard. It was from a muffler clamp box. I'm going to pull the flywheel back, or the coil back, and let the magnet clamp it in there, and we're going to tighten it down. Pull the card out. And we don't have contact, so that is good. Let's find our spark plug here. Just gonna see here if we've got spark. So I had first run out of tape, then my battery went dead. We're pretty much all back together now. Just have to add some fresh oil to it. I have put another battery on here because I actually modified this a little bit because I have a bunch of old UPS batteries laying around. The one that I had on it had catastrophically failed. Put some fuel on in. I hope it all doesn't come pouring back out again. Ruining my nice shiny paint job. Put that much in just in case it does. All right. Oh, and our float is stuck. My driveway's turning red, it's bleeding. Okay, well, either all the fuel has leaked out. No? Well, we know it's got fuel at least. Almost. Kill handle works. Alright, time to make a run on the yard. I would basically have to have it set on its lowest speed setting, highest RPM, and it would barely making it through grass this tall. And that was on the setting I normally use. This is one notch lower. So let's give it a shot and see how it goes. Well, I know how it's going to go, but you can see how it goes. Okay, barring the fact that it is cutting about 3 to 4 inches of zoysia grass off, The other engine wouldn't have even made it probably 3 feet. So yeah, there we go. And I gotta finish mowing my lawn. Thanks for watching.